And now I'm going to hand over to our first session, which is Emma Sparrow and the Youth Advocates, and she's going to kick us off properly. So over to you, Emma.
Thanks, Colin. It's going to go straight to Owen on this one, who is going to represent for the Youth Advocates today. So over to you, Owen.
Yes, hello everyone, and welcome to our fifth presentation at these conferences, which we're very excited about indeed. So what we're going to do today, as you can see hopefully from the screen, is talk a little bit about the expectation versus reality about the Youth Advocates legacy, if you like, since we have been doing it for 5 years. And really let you know what is happening now and how we can build our future together, hopefully with you. So obviously the Epilepsy12 Youth Advocates have met a number of times over the last few months to try and prepare for today, with 4 online meetings and an in-person session in London as well. And between us, we'll represent what they wanted to tell you about, with some video and audio clips as well, from some other youth advocates. It won't just be me. There's also going to be an animation, lots of Menti, which I know is your favourite from over the years, and also a chance for you to obviously be part of our future. So we're going to show you a quick video now, which sort of shows the legacy that we've had. I think the sound comes in a minute, I think.
In 2018, over 125 children and young people, parents and carers involved in clinic chats, and 100 doctors letting us know what matters to them. 2019, the first youth-led project on support with worries and anxieties, leading to the Clinic Chats Checklist resource. 2020, we won our second HQIP award for being volunteer heroes. 2021, we created a gold standard framework for services and shared this at the RCPCH conference to support services being youth friendly. 2022, we produced a new look patient report, out today, our chapter in the audit report, and a resource to improve school individual care plans.
Okay, so yeah, as the video kind of demonstrated, there's quite a few things each year that we've been really proud of as youth advocates. So they could be anything from our sessions that we get involved in together, to different publications, and obviously these conferences as well. And we see lots of things that change. So there's a lot of things together that we see as part of our legacy that we've created over the years. So what we're going to do is we are going to use Menti, I'm afraid, now to, so if you could very kindly for us go to www.menti.com and put in the code 82918545. I think it's at the top of the screen there. And there's 5 questions for you that we can get you to answer. So we want to know about our legacy and the impact that it has had on you and your patients, so we can get a bit of feedback. So the first one is, have you ever attended an Epilepsy12 Youth Advocates presentation before, or an RCPCH and us engagement training session? This can be whether you've heard of us, worked with us, attended something with us, collaborated us before, just to get an idea of, see how many of you have actually heard of us. Okay, probably give a few more seconds on that. So once you've done that one, the second question after that is support with the worries and anxieties links to epilepsy care and experiences has been a key priority for us over the last 5 years. But is this still a priority for your patients now? So straight away, it looks like it's remains a priority for most of you. And I think that's it's certainly been just feedback together with the youth advocates and some of the sessions we've had in the last few months. It's we think this will pretty much always be a priority for a lot of people. I think it's good we're pretty much on the same page with that one. Okay, cool. Just give a few more seconds on that. And then, yeah, the third question, have you seen and used the clinic chat checklist that the youth advocates helped to launch in 2021, so last year? So this is something the Epilepsy12 youth advocates put together last year. Okay, so for those people who might not have seen it, I think there are lots and lots of different resources and links that I think Emma will be more than happy to drop into the chat if she's able to. And there's lots of opportunities for you to have a look. And we are aware that there's quite a few. There may be quite a few people joining this year that obviously are quite obviously it might be like their first conference, or maybe they've sort of been to one or two, might not have seen got involved with Epilepsy12 or different stuff to do with the audit, or indeed come across Epilepsy12 youth advocates before, and that's absolutely fine. So they can get in touch with all the links, have a look at the opportunities of how to get involved, and that's perfect. We can point you in the right direction with that. So if people have finished up with that question, the next one is, have you improved the engagement of children and young people in your services over the last 5 years? Okay, and again, I think there's certainly different things about, obviously it's good, sort of very promising results there. But obviously sort of Emma's team can certainly help with this. I think there's sort of a free online training module. I'm sure there's other sort of links that can be dropped in the chat, or you can by all means sort of get in touch with other sort of opportunities as well. But so final question, question 5, we can get this done. Fire through this one. Have you ever promoted the opportunity to join the Epilepsy12 youth advocates to your patients? And all of these are really just for feedback for us, just to show, obviously, talking about we've done this for obviously 5 years now, carrying on and continuing for the next couple of years going forward, and what we can do. So obviously, if you haven't promoted the opportunity, then please do. We're obviously always open to new members. And the next stage, which is something I'll talk about a little bit later on, is it's going to be sort of really important. As I say, sort of the next stage, which I'll talk about a little bit later, as to how we can collaborate. Now we've got the funding to carry on for the next couple of years now. So the next stage of the project is going to be really key for us. So it's always good to think about the expectations and the reality, going back to that theme at the start, the expectation we had, and then the reality that did happen or that does happen, that we can see from your answers. And we know that there will be new people join us today who may not have heard of our work, obviously, and sometimes obviously things get busy, and maybe chances don't get downloaded if things get sent through on emails, things like that. But please always talk about us with your patients and your families. Obviously, we'd love for them to join us as well. Now, one of the other things we've also done is we've also looked back at the very first conference and our findings from the families and the conference attendees that were there as well, and some of the results that we found on there. Now, another reason why we particularly remember that conference is the two of us that were doing that conference, Rachel and I. There was a very large sparkling water bottle that exploded in front of all of us on the front row. So that's one of the reasons why I remember that conference. And I don't know, the person might actually be attending today, in which case we don't laugh at your expense this day. It's just one of the many things that we remember that for. There was a fire alarm going off as well, and all of the things that could have possibly happened during our session decided to happen. But talking of that very first conference, the slides will show you that some of the you said and we did moments from that first conference, where we used Kahoot to find out what the conference families in the clinic chats wanted or decided that they needed, and what we've matched in is what's happened over the years to support these areas. So children, young people and families said that they wanted help with obviously worries and anxieties. And well, the Epilepsy12 youth advocates, they did a project all about it. We worked with 8 epilepsy units to find out what you were doing, what support needs you had, and to bring together resources, different tools. And we then shared the learning and the results to all the units, and beyond, really, with the clinic chat checklist resource, and obviously created the gold standard framework from that. So with the next one, the epilepsy conference delegates said that you want to do more on the mental health support groups and school drop-ins. And the youth advocates started our project for people to join, focused on mental health through our support with the Worries and Anxieties project, and shared some top tips for schools in our most recent social media campaigns, and our care plan resource that was shared this year, in fact. And very quickly, the final one that we did from 2018, the conference delegates said that they wished we had more epilepsy specialist nurses, and families wanted more first aid support. And you said that patients speak most to friends and families about their epilepsy outside of clinic appointments. So we did Epilepsy12 really as a team effort on this one. So they advocated for more epilepsy specialist nurses through the audit. The equip units, they created the information on the mental health and the physical health first aid. And the youth advocates, we made the patient report accessible to the friends and families. And there'll be a little bit more on that later. So it has been a bit of a busy few years for us, and obviously for the audit itself. And so what I'm going to do next is pass on to Demi, who's going to talk a little bit more about what's been going on this year for us, and how the legacy has continued.
We wanted to think back to last year's conference, which was online and things were still happening virtually. And we wanted to think about our expectations for another pandemic year and the reality of what we got up to. We asked everyone in the group to tell us the answers to these questions. Why did you get or stay involved this year? What did you expect to achieve? What was the reality of your year? What's happened?
Hello, my name's Noor. I've been in the epilepsy group for about 2 years now and have thoroughly enjoyed every bit. As someone who doesn't have epilepsy, putting myself in the shoes of someone who may experience this condition has been eye-opening and taught me a lot about the difficulties people with epilepsy can face. For example, having unsatisfactory care plans, the lack of support in transitioning from young to adult services, and struggles with mental health. Being a part of the epilepsy group has helped me to support my own friends who have the condition too. We had a lot of goals over the past year or so it feels amazing that we completed everything we planned. Things like making a guide for those newly diagnosed with epilepsy, making school care plans that can grow up with the individual, and mental health conversation starters, and were involved in many conferences like this one. I knew we would achieve a lot of things this year, but it still feels quite surprising. As for the reality of my year, it was suddenly switching back to in-person meetings and getting to know all the other epilepsy youth advocates properly. The first in-person epilepsy meeting for me in about 2 years. It was also getting involved in the June Liverpool conference and talking to paediatricians about the link between epilepsy and mental health. These two particular moments stood out for me, but every epilepsy session is the epitome of getting work done while also having a great time.
I've been involved with the Epilepsy12 youth advocates because I have a sibling who has epilepsy and I wanted to help improve services as well as make them more accessible. I expected to achieve an improvement in services and empowerment for young people.
Hi, my name's Rachel. I'm an Epilepsy12 youth advocate. I think one of the most important reasons for me why I've stayed and also carried on this year is looking back when this first started, it was just myself and Owen, and I don't even think we had the name Epilepsy12 youth advocates. I think we were just children and young people on the side of the Epilepsy12 project. And I think it's amazing to see how much it's grown. So the first year of the conference, I'm sure some of you were there, Owen and I were kind of sat at a pylon at the front and just spoke for an hour and a half or 2 hours. And now there's a massive group of us. We filmed videos ahead like this. We're joining virtually. I know when we did it face-to-face, we were able to go around in groups and do activities with people. And it's so nice to see the engagement that we have as youth advocates. And I think even when we did the clinic chat checklist, we had so many people reaching out to us, wanting to get involved. And it's so nice to see how appreciated we are on this project. So definitely something that we had hoped to and expected to achieve as youth advocates in the last year is getting back together face to face. It's so much nicer to meet people face to face, catch up with people that you haven't seen in probably it was over 2 years. And I think it also helped us on the care plan project. So I think from when we decided to start working on it versus when it's now available, it was about a 6-month turnover. We looked at probably 6 or 7 drafts, pulled them apart, reorganised it. This is what we like, this is what we don't like. And now it's actually available to everyone to use. I think personally for me, I never had one that was good. It was really basic, and at the same time, it was really complicated. They never took me through it at the school. I never had one from my nurse, so I was just using the school version. And it's so nice to see one that's user-friendly. It looks nice. It's not just a boring Word document, to be honest. And I really hope that it gets used by all of you in the next few months, the next years to go on.
Yeah, so I think really a lot of it has already been mentioned, but the reason why I stayed involved this year, as no doubt obviously already been mentioned, the whole the 5 theme, the legacy, you know, the Epilepsy12 youth advocates being a young representative before, but now having that that title, we really feel that we've created a sense of, you know, having a slot here at the conference does us, other people and other epilepsy services the world of good. So now we look forward to coming out of COVID as well. We really want to be able to try and renew a sense of commitment and dedication as well to working collaboratively with trusts and all the different clinics across the country. I think coming out of the pandemic, I think it was actually, in terms of what we expected to achieve, actually I think it was, for me, I had a little bit of naivety about it. I think it was quite difficult to be able to see how we would all work together, having been online for so long. And we had different members as well, new members coming into it. And as much as we could all work together online, it was, you know, we'd never all met before. So there was an added kind of, you know, there was a touch of anxiety with it as well. But I think we wanted to continue our contact with clinics, albeit through virtual communication, which we have done in certain ways, and continue to look at and approve reports to ultimately better children's health, really. And I think, you know, with the reality of it, we're so pleased to be able to get the funding for the project, and along the way, you know, helping to design different reports for young people fairly recently, I think proved that the work does still happen, and there's always something going on in the world of epilepsy, obviously, as we all know, which we love sharing each meeting as well. And I loved more than anything being able to meet in person again. I think it was something like 20 months being away, being online as a group when we met last November back in the offices, and it was just the most uplifting session, having everyone there back together again. So yeah, it was really good to be back. So I think to talk more about this year as a whole, I'm going to let Emma speak a little bit more about that before I let you know about how you can collaborate with us in the coming year, hopefully.
Thanks, Owen. So I'm just representing Bryn and Noor and Demi and Fiona and Rachel and some of the others that have helped to plan, as Owen said, over the last couple of months. They wanted to just say that now you know a little bit more about them, they wanted you to, you know, think through some of your expectations about the way maybe that they work. So, you know, maybe you didn't know that they meet for 4 hours at a time, that sometimes that's online or sometimes that's in person, that most of the time they're laughing, as you heard, that there's been some seagull incidents where seagulls been trying to join the meeting when we've been at the college, but also Rachel will share in a minute one of the things that happened to her in a meeting. Did you also know that they wanted us to make sure you're aware that we always start with a mental health check-in at the start of every session, just to see how things have been, to think about actually what's been going on for their epilepsy experiences and do a bit of a news round. But we also end with a checkout, just to make sure that actually we're in a good place to leave the meeting, to see if there's any support needs that are there, but also to bank what's been going on. And that sometimes we play really loud music and occasionally forget that we're working not just on a Saturday, but we're in the office on a weekday. And the other day, Helen from Epilepsy12 joined us and told us that she could hear the music coming up the stairs. So, you know, it's all part of the Epilepsy12 Youth Advocates experience. The expectation is that they work really, really hard and it's serious. And sometimes it's sad and sometimes there are difficult discussions. And that is the reality too, but it's so much more because there is a lot of peer support. There's a lot of talking about their weekends, about tips on epilepsy, on having fun, on trying to get enough change for petty cash, and much, much more. But one of the things that they have been doing this year that they wanted to share with you is, as you can see on screen, and that's just been launched today, and we'll drop the link into the chat, is that there's a new style now for the young people and parent guide. So they've spent a couple of years inputting into this, but this year they've worked with Nikki and with Helen and with others just to make sure it's as useful as possible for everybody in their epilepsy journey. So it's gone from 16 pages down to a double-sided leaflet. There's 2 different versions online where you can have one that you can print and fold, or one that just comes out with 1 page per side. And it lets you know about what's been going on in the past, so shows some of that kind of like legacy, but also give you tips about what to expect now and into your future. There's a tick list on the back, so you know who to talk to or what kind of things you can be talking about. And it also is a really useful tool just to pass on to that wider friends and family network. So don't forget, you can download that from today. At the RCPCH annual conference, the group had a session and they spoke to different people from different disciplines in the research and quality improvement session at conference. And they asked attendees to think about how do they support worries and anxieties of their patients, and to think about that for people with long-term conditions like epilepsy. They told us their tips for self-care, but also for services, and thought about actually if they had magic wands, what could they do to really lead some of that change. We're going to be using these in our future sessions, and they will help us to kind of start to think about what the next project should be. And we're going to be coming to you at the end, and Owen's going to be asking you to also contribute to that in a second. And then they really wanted to make a difference, as you've heard, about the care plans and about the impact this can have for children and young people at school or at college, university or work if they haven't got a really good personalised individual healthcare plan. They looked at different templates, they talked about what was important, just like you heard Rachel saying, and then created this resource. So please do have a look. It's all on the Epilepsy12 Youth Advocates webpage. We'll, like I said, I'll drop that into the chat once we're off being live. But Rachel also just wanted to share a little bit more about her experiences this year and how that links to her wider world.
So the reality for the year for me, I think most importantly, I should point out that when I went to the meeting in the summer in London, I did actually lose a shoe on the way to the meeting. Now, luckily, it was a spare change of shoes and it wasn't my only shoe, but it's something I don't think I'll ever live down in the youth advocates. And personally, I just don't know how that even happened. And on another note, it's something I do outside the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health, but I think is totally relevant and is something that's really important going forward. I've joined a neurodiversity group in my workplace. So for those of you who don't know, neurodiversity is just someone whose brain is different to the standard normal person's brain. So this can be autism, ADHD, things like that. And it's just all about recognising how having people like that in the workplace and around you in life can actually be so much more beneficial to just kind of blocking them out and thinking they might be a nuisance in the workplace or something. So people can be a lot more organised, energetic. They see things in a completely different way to how everyone else wouldn't look at them normally. And it's so nice to be involved because I've managed to bring my experience working on the Epilepsy12 project and how people can feel, how we can get them involved, how we can change things and actually show them that it's quite easy to do. And it's just really nice to see it being implemented the same way that the youth advocates can make changes and implement them as soon as possible, like the care plan. It's really nice to see it happening in my workplace. We started on recruitment, so date backing and going all the way back to when we advertise jobs, when we look at CVs and how the best thing to look for in a candidate is. I think it's really important. That's something that's mentioned going forward. And yeah, I just want to say thank you for an amazing year. Thank you for supporting us as always, and hopefully look forward to seeing some of you soon.
Okay, so we're going to go back to Owen now.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's and that does sort of offer up just a glimpse of what the sessions are really like. It is it's a good balance of good fun and good humour, and actually getting the work that needs to be done, and it's the good balance, which is what it's all about. Now I'm just a bit conscious of time, but we are nearly at the end of the slot, but obviously not the end of the Epilepsy12 advocates youth advocates going forward. So we were so excited to hear that the funding had been agreed for the next few years, but we had finished all of our current projects and plans. So now we need you. So we are going to quickly go back to Menti, and using the same code as before, which should be up on the top of the screen, the 82918545. We've just got 3 quick questions for you to help us come up with a new set of project ideas and plans for us for the next 2 and a bit years. So if you can add your ideas, we'd be very grateful. So our first question: if there was a magic wand that looked like us, what areas could we work on to help your patients and your families and you? So any ideas, just very quickly. And you can use anything at all. You can write any just quick words, project ideas, or any topics that you think we might have covered over the last couple of years, or any new topics that you think might be good for us to cover. Okay, so we'll give you just a few more seconds on that. And then the second question, once you put the answers in for that, we have the second question. We've created lots of resources and information over the years, like the gold standard framework, the clinic chat checklist, care plan resources, obviously the Epilepsy and Us voice report. So there's lots of different resources that we have created, but we don't think that everyone actually gets to see it. And from some of the answers that obviously we were just briefly looking at earlier, that seems to be the case. So what is the best way to get information and resources to you, so that you can see it and use it, and ultimately share it with everyone else? And obviously this is how we learn from anything that we not that we're not doing anything wrong, but obviously what we might how we better our chances of getting things to a wider audience. So it looks like there's probably a good variety on there. Hopefully enough that we can work with, I think. And then just very quickly, and I promise this is the final question, once we've done that, what are we doing already that we should keep doing into the future? Once we finish that second question, our last question, what are we doing already that we should definitely keep doing into the future? and this can be anything at all. It can be about resources, it can be about projects, it can be about any one of us or all of us coming to you and speaking to you for half an hour every year at the conference, urging you to collaborate with us even more, because I know you love that so much. You don't have to put that. Anything at all. Again, it looks like we're getting a variety of answers there. So thank you very much for all your thoughts and advice. It's really helpful, something we can go back and work with, and they'll help us to come up with our projects, and obviously knowing what you want us to keep doing, so we don't lose the good things that we hopefully we already do. But we need to speak to patients and families again, and we want to come and see you in your clinic. What we almost sort of really lost out on due to COVID before. Obviously, we only did the virtual visits, and we won't be able to get to see and work with you all, obviously, but we would like to visit some from November to March, so that we have lots of ideas about what to do from patients and families. So, if you would like to visit, if you would like us to visit you, please email us and us at rcpch.ac.uk. And then hopefully by October, or in October sometime, we'll be able to send you a form for you to complete, and we can go from there. And obviously by working together, we can turn those expectations into our reality. If I'm very quickly allowed, I will just put on record, just on behalf of the other youth advocates and obviously me, I just want to thank Emma, because she's basically been a legend in organising us meeting again over the last sort of 12 months and collaborating with these different projects physically. I do also want to thank Jill, who's kind of been like our rock of all epilepsy knowledge, and has one of our epilepsy specialist nurses who joins us for all of our sessions in person and online to offer advice. And obviously all the other youth advocates and the wider Epilepsy12 team for pushing for the funding and ensuring that we can still do the work we do, really. So a big thank you to everyone, and hopefully we will see you and work with you soon. Thank you very much.
Owen, that as ever was absolutely wonderful, and I think we need to pass our thanks straight back to you and all of the Epilepsy12 youth advocates. Every year you shine a light on the important things for us to think about for the following year, and also show us how to use modern technology like Menti. So I think you've used that so well that actually you've captured the thoughts there of everybody that's watching today. So we haven't got any questions for you in the speaker chat, but lots of information there for you in the Menti, which I know that you will take away and use to drive forward the programme for the next year. So thank you so much. Wonderful presentation.